Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Gratitude Shift Wednesday. It is Gratitude Shift Wednesday. And I am excited, so excited to have this conversation with you this morning. Just trying to make sure that we are set up in um, the trying to make sure that we're set up in the group. See if we can do it. So it is Gratitude Shift Wednesday. This week we are talking about what motivation. Motivation. So let me just make sure that we're set up in the group before we start our conversation. Hey, but before we do that, drop a word in the chat for me. If you are watching, drop a word in the chat. How are you doing this morning? How are you doing this morning? All is well. I am on this Gratitude Shift Wednesday. I'm actually grateful. That's going to be my word for today. I am grateful. I am so grateful. I think that we don't understand that in life, things are constantly happening, right? And we have to sometimes find a reason, right, to be grateful. So I'm grateful this morning. How are you doing? Drop it in the chat for me. Drop it in the chat. Let's see. It's going to allow me to stream. No, because I don't have it on there. Okay, let's see now. There we go. There we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. We are in the group. Um, Good morning. Right? I was just talking. We are in the group. We are in the group this morning. So good morning. It is Gratitude Shift Wednesday. And I'm excited about today's conversation. We're talking about how to stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start turning them into opportunities, right? I do have an announcement. As you see, I've moved the life lessons to 8:45. Dropping off my son, setting up with the technical difficulties. Like today, I popped on at 8:45. Realized I was just streaming to my membership, but wasn't really streaming in the group, so I had to pop you guys in. So these little technical difficulties tend to push me back. So I apologize. Thank you for your patience. It is Wednesday. Let's take our breath, right? Let's take our conscious breath together. Make sure we feel our feet on the ground, right? Make sure that we are in our bodies because this is our time, right? This is our time. We've set up our day this morning already, right? We've done our affirmations. We set our gratitude statements. We've really uh, kind of set a path. And this is our community time, right? We're two or more together, right, in agreement. And so I hope that we are all in agreement. So let's take a deep breath. This is our time. Listen, no pressure, just presence. I want to welcome you back to Project L.I.F.E, where we turn theory into practice, right? Project L.I.F E, where we turn theory, the theory of our love of self, our interactions with others, our focus and our emotions, we turn that into practice. Why is that important? Because there are so many individuals who are looking at social media, watching social media, probably want help, want to seek help, and they just don't know how or where to go or what to do. Okay. And so we are turning theory into practice by really doing these bite size, right? I want to say bite size, BYTES, because we're on, social media, but these bite size lessons to really help us to understand our life better. The whole Project L.I.F.E initiative was started because as an emotional intelligence expert in emotional intelligence, I found so many gaps, right? And so I wanted to kind of start off because turning this obstacle into an opportunity, we first have to see what our paradigm is. And if you are a legacy member, you do get to take the emotional intelligence course so that you can really start to shift your paradigm, because it'll be hard for you to really understand or implement. You can understand it, right? But everything we understand, sometimes we can't implement it. Like, I know I should be working out, but I'm not working out, right? I know I should be talking better, but for some reason I'm still like triggered really hard, right? So we have a part of our brain that definitely understands what we should do, right? But there's also a part of our brain that actually activates that, right? And so sometimes we're stuck in the knowing, but not the application. And a big part of this is because of our paradigm. When we talk about that motivational triad, right? We're either running away from something, we're running towards something, and it's a third one that I often forget. But either we're running away from our pain or we're running towards pleasure, right? We can't do both. And so we have to learn how to redesign our minds to really go with this motivational triad. And there are four paradigms. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is like how we see the world, right? How we interpret the world, because we know that there's one truth, right? That's the source's truth, the creator's truth. And we just have perspectives of this truth, right? From our own experiences, from our own background, from our own knowledge base, right? And so we can feel like we know the truth and we're in the truth, but typically our truth is a perspective of a bigger truth, right? That is the truth, and we just have a lens in which we are filtering that. And those lenses are therefore, right, based on emotional intelligence. You have the fear, right? Fear lens. We have a duty lens, we have an achiever lens, and we have a integrity lens, right? Or a paradigm. And if we're in this fear paradigm, right, we are most likely making our decisions fear-based decisions. Okay. If we feel a sense of fear-based decisions is out, just out of fear, like kind of what we talked about last week, just this we don't have the energy where we talked about this on Monday, like we do things out of perfectionism and things like that. Good morning, Dale. Because we're really experiencing life from this fear place, right? Fear of being judged. We talked about that yesterday. Fear of not succeeding, right? So we tend to have a lens when we make our decisions from this fear-based lens. And then we have what's called a duty paradigm. And this is where we just follow orders, right? We just go along to get along. Like, I don't like conflict. I don't want to like ruffle any feathers, right? So I'm just going to do what I'm supposed to do, right? And this can build a little resentment because, this is also like what society has told me what I'm supposed to do as a woman, as a wife, as a girlfriend, right? What social media, the propaganda that's social media is placing on us, like what we should do, right? And so we tend to follow suit, right, from this duty paradigm of this what should I do? Okay. And that again can build a little resentment because that may not be what I want to do. So I'm constantly complying to the world's expectations or my family's expectations or my kids' expectations or my mate's expectations, right? From this way that I'm looking like I should do this, right? That's another paradigm. The achievement paradigm, if we're making decisions from this achievement paradigm, we're probably making decisions that are results based, right? Such as money, promotion, things like that. And my decision is to really gain, right? And so we may see people in our life, or we may be the individual where I'm making decisions because I'm just trying to move forward in my life. And we all have to experience this independence where we are trying to gain in life. The issue with this paradigm though is that we make decisions at the expense of our peers, right? At the expense of our mates, at the expense of our kids, right? So somebody is having to pay that price for my achievement. Okay. And then the paradigm that we want to start to see life through is this integrity paradigm, right? And it's not an easy paradigm, but it is simple. It's when we make decisions, the best possible decision, regardless of the competing factors, right? So this means that we're making decisions that is not in my personal best interest, but overall, it's just the right thing to do, right? And we fluctuate through these paradigms often, right? So it's not that I'm stuck at this one paradigm because we are triggered. We talked about triggers yesterday. So I can give you an example of how we fluctuate through these paradigms. If I'm driving and I see a car accident, I may be in a fear paradigm, hoping that I won't hit this person, right? So I'm in fear. So I'm gonna do something like swerve or whatever, so I don't hit this person, right? But then I may move to duty paradigm really quick, like, oh my God, what should I do? Should I get out the car? Should I help? Right? It's a person on the side of the road. I may move through to integrity, right? Okay, what is the right thing to do? Oh, let me call the police, right, to make sure that this person is good. I'm good, they're good, right? I'm just not going to ride past that accident, right? And so we fluctuate through these paradigms often. In our life, but if we don't even know that the paradigm exists, right? If we don't even know that there is a possibility to create a win-win situation, if we don't know that, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to live in duty. And guess what? Life is not against you, right? If we don't know those things, then how can we access them? How can we take in the knowledge and then practice, right? How can we take in the theory and then practice the behaviors to get alignment where my decisions are in the best for the collective consciousness, right? And try to move from that as much as possible. Okay. If that made sense, put a one in the chat. Good morning, Dale. I don't know if I said that already, but good morning. So over the past 2 days, like we have uncovered the stories that we tell ourselves. That was in day one, and the triggers that activate fear, right? But what's next? We when we finally get to take action, right? And when we decide to move forward, we sometimes can either it can either stop us or strengthen us, right? And that's why I want to go over the paradigms, because turning our obstacles into opportunity is truly a mindset shift. I have to be willing to see this situation different, because from the seat that I'm sitting at the table, there's just no way that I can. This is an obstacle. And Sheila, you telling me it's not, and I'm telling you it's an obstacle. And it's really the way you're seeing it. Okay. So, so when decide to move forward in life, we hit something that can either stop us, right, or strengthen us. These are obstacles, right? And this is on the journey, right? Everybody is hitting obstacles. You're not the only person hitting obstacles. I'm not the only person. We all hit obstacles, all right? So think about it. How many times have you started something with motivation, right? I'm gonna do this. I'm excited, right? Only to hit a challenge, and then you felt like giving up. Maybe it was a financial struggle. Maybe it was a setback with your job. Maybe it was like you wanted to really start this business, and there was a setback, a relationship issue, right? Or just plain doubt, like you just had self doubt. When obstacles show up, you guys, most people see them as proof that 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 the success is not meant for them. Okay. When obstacles tend to show up, most people see them as proof that they're not meant to succeed. All right. But today we want to flip the script, right? Because obstacles are not stop signs, you guys. They're actually roadmaps for us. All right. So let's talk about James again, the artist that we talked about yesterday, right? Yesterday we saw how fear was stopping or triggering him. Okay. However, every time he tried to tried to go after his dream. Self-doubt crept in, right? Made him hesitate. But today, he finally pushed through, right? Past his fear and submitted his application to the gallery. What if that happened? Feeling proud, and then he got rejected again, right? So he overcame his obstacles, all of these triggers, all of these fears, and then, he gets rejected. At this point, let me tell you this, James has two decisions, right? He can see the rejection as proof that he's not good enough and just quit, or he can see the rejection as a redirection, a lesson that will help him improve and try again. This is where most people get stuck. Like, they hit an obstacle, they start thinking maybe it's not meant for me, maybe I should stop. But the obstacles are not designed to stop you. They're actually designed to prepare you. Okay. When where What this means is, or why this matters, is because where where obstacles are made, right, it makes us question the path, right? It makes us more curious. Maybe, maybe, maybe you've tried to set boundaries, right? And push people, right? Maybe you've committed to a fitness goal, right? And then life got busy. Maybe you started the healing process only to feel like these old wounds surface back up. The truth is, obstacles isn't a punishment, you guys. They're proof that you're growing. And today we're going to learn like how to turn turn every challenge really into a stepping stone for success. But how do I know that an obstacle is a stepping stone or it's there to strengthen you? I'm going to go back to the analogy of working out. When I work out, right, that's an obstacle. I'm lifting something that's greater than me, right? How do I know that I'm getting stronger? Because I'm getting weak first, right? So I really can't lift the weight that I want to lift, or I get sore the next day. I can't move, right? But that weight just has broken my muscles down so that I can build new muscle fibers, right, that are going to strengthen me. So if we change our mindset that an obstacle is actually an opportunity for me to strengthen myself, then we will probably see more more of our goals being actualized. Put a 2 in the chat if that makes sense. Okay. And put a heart in the chat, right? If you're ready to really see your obstacles differently. Okay. So let's start off with it. That was just the introduction. So let's start off, right, with this quote. Okay. Let's start off with a powerful quote. Listen, the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. Today, we're talking about obstacles, not as a roadblock or not to block us, but as a thing to really build us. Too often, you guys, we are seeing challenges as reasons to stop instead of opportunities to grow. All right. But what if the very thing you see as an obstacle is actually an invitation? It's actually an invitation for you to level up. Okay. Obstacles are not the problem, you guys. It's how we see them that makes the difference. What if I told you that the biggest obstacle in life right now, that your biggest obstacle in life right now might actually be pointing towards growth, right? Um, your biggest obstacle right now in your life might actually be pointing you towards the growth that you have been praying for. What if I told you that, right? If you're moving to a different space and you got to pack up your old space, right? That's an obstacle. You got to go through all this stuff. You got to purge all this stuff, right? To move forward. And I don't think that we understand how energy moves and shifts and how emotions um, uh, fluctuate and flow, because we have not been in a relationship with our emotions. So we have become emotionally constipated, right? And we only have like a thought process, like 1 + 1 = 2. And we have this belief that bad things shouldn't happen to me. And if my perceived bad thing is happening, then either that means that this wasn't for me. If this thing challenges me, then that means that this person is a bad person. If my feelings are hurt, then that means that, yeah, you did that on purpose, right? So we become very, and I'm using this word softly, just very sensitive. But what we don't see is that there is a capacity problem, like an emotional capacity issue that we are suffering from. We don't have the capacity, right? Sometimes, or we have to build the capacity to be able to transmute our energy from obstacle to opportunity. We have to be willing to, I always say, think about a dining room table. It's four chairs, right? You have the two at the top and the head and the both heads, and then you got two on the side. And some of us have been sitting in the same seat viewing the centerpiece from the same view all of our life, right? Because we are either scared to get up, we don't know that another seat exists, or we haven't given ourselves permission to sit at the head of our table, which is that paradigm of integrity. Okay. And so we're taking on this victim mentality or this victim paradigm where life is happening to me. I can never move forward. Things never happen good in my life, right? Or this duty, right? I'm circumventing my thoughts, my desires, my dreams, for someone else because I've been told that I was right. Okay. And we want to shift that paradigm. Okay. Because the truth is, most people think that obstacles mean something is wrong. But in reality, obstacles are just lessons in disguise, you guys. They show up to help us reframe our vision, strengthen our resilience, and push us past our comfort zone. Okay. What this means for you is that if you're feeling stuck, it's not because you're failing. It's not because you're failing. It's because you're what? Expanding. You're expanding your capacity, and the obstacle in front of you isn't trying to block you. It's challenging you to expand. It's giving you the strength to, if my emotional capacity and mental capacity was here, and this is what my pattern has been, and this is all I've been able to generate in my life, right? And now I'm expanding to here, then an obstacle is going to be created so that I will have the emotional capacity to function in this bigger space. And how is that created, you guys? That is created by strengthening you. And how do we get strengthened? Through the challenge, through the obstacle, right? Life is not here. People are not here to intentionally hurt us. They're not here to intentionally make us feel bad, right? Just like we're not here to intentionally hurt people. Do we hurt people? Absolutely. Do we get hurt from people? Absolutely. But sometimes the things that we've been praying for, you know, life has a way, God has a way of reorchestrating things for your expansion, right? And if it's healing for you, it's for your healing. Hey, if you guys watch me on Jessica Reedy show, I talked about if you break your leg, right, we go to therapy, similar to I go to a doctor. I've been having this ache in my knee, right? The doctor say, oh, you fractured or ache in my toe. Hey, you fractured a femur, a bone, right? So the therapist is there to help you identify the wound, right? The fracture. Okay. Now, I go get that healed up. This is what the therapist is doing. I go get that healed, right? I go get that cast. I get the femur put back together. It cast up for 6 to 8 weeks, right? So I'm talking to my therapist about this wound that I had. We cast it. We heal it. We mended that back up. What is the next step after you come out of cast that should happen? You go to the physical therapist. What is the physical therapist going to do? The physical therapist is going to make you get back on that leg. And that's going to be painful, right? Because one, you haven't used this leg, so it's not as strong anymore. Two, because we have to strengthen this leg, right? We have to move it. And if you've watched anybody go through physical therapy, it's painful. We got to pull these tendons back apart. We got to stretch these muscles. We got to put you in pain. Why? So that we can expand the range or the capacity of this leg. Okay. That is the same thing that happens with us, you guys. If we were broken, and I don't even say broken, if things has happened to us to break our spirits, to break our hope, to diminish our faith, to wound our hearts, right? And we are seeking to heal that. Okay? That's not the only step. There's work after the healing. We can't continue to use the diagnosis, right? Of I have ADHD, I was, hurt, and things like that. We have to move past the diagnosis and say, okay, how do I get strengthened? How do I expand my capacity? How do I function again? And it's work in that. That's not quote unquote easy, but it's required if you want to have the life that you feel like you desire and deserve. And even if you haven't been hurt and you haven't been wounded, right? And you're just looking to, you feel like you was designed for a purpose or a goal. And so you're looking to expand your life. Listen, in that expansion, it's going to hurt, right? There's going to be some emotional pain, but guess what? In that, you are safe. In that you are saved. So obstacles are there to stretch you. The obstacles in front of us or in front of you isn't blocking you. It's just challenging you to level up, right? You've overcome hard times before. Think about it. You've overcome hard times before. Think about the last time you faced a challenge. You made it through, didn't you? Did not you make it through? Okay. That means that you already have the proof that you can handle an obstacle. And if you did it before, guess what? You can do it again and again and again. Imagine if every challenge you face this week, this month, this year wasn't something to dread, but something that was actually preparing you for the life that you've been asking for. Would you change how you responded to that? Listen, I had a client that used to see financial struggles as proof that she just wasn't doing enough, right? But instead of getting discouraged, she started seeing them as challenges to manage her money different, all right? Within months, let me tell you, within months, she had built an emergency fund. She had shifted her mindset, and now she's at financial peace, right? More than she had ever been before, right? The obstacle that she was facing about her financial struggles really forced her to grow into the vision that she really wanted because she wanted to become financially stable. That was her dream. And every time she didn't do it, it was like this. I don't have the resources. I don't have the means. I make the money. I don't know why I don't have enough. And that not having, that lack was the polarization of the abundance that she was really seeking. So if the obstacle never showed up, this desire, this overwhelm, this frustration that she was feeling about her finances wouldn't have never showed up. She wouldn't have been pushed, right, to change her money mindset, right, to create the emergency fund so that she can do the things that she really wanted to do in her life. If that makes sense, put a 3 in the chat for me, right? Because listen, a study was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, and it found that people who reframe their obstacles as challenges rather than threats are significantly more likely to persevere and achieve their goals. Right? The way you view your struggles determine how you respond to them, right? So people who just reframe their obstacle like, oh, this is a challenge here to strengthen me, not a threat here to take me down, not a threat here to hurt and harm me. No, this is a challenge to strengthen me, to remind me of the person that God created me to be, to remind me that I already have what I need to get through this thing and I'm gonna get through it. All right. So obstacles are not stop signs, you guys. They are detours to something better. Okay. What is one challenge in your life, right, that you can start seeing differently today? I want you to ask yourself that, man, like obstacles are not stop signs. What is one thing that I'm considering an obstacle in my life? And if I saw that differently, right, my life could be different. All right. So let's move into our biblical wisdom. Okay. So our principal verse today is Proverbs 27:12, you guys. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precaution, and a simpleton blindly goes blindly and suffers the consequences. We've had this Bible verse before, right? But I wanted to bring it back because we're talking about motivation. All right. A prudent person, which is a wise person, right, foresees danger and take precautions, but a simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. Challenges don't just appear randomly, you guys. They often expose areas that we need to pay attention to. And a wise person sees obstacles as lessons and they prepare themselves accordingly. Okay, this is a challenge. I don't have the mental bandwidth. I don't have the emotional capacity. What do I need? What do I need? Okay, how this verse how this verse connects with motivation. Obstacles are not stop signs, they are roadmaps. So this verse really teaches us that obstacles aren't just problems to deal with, they are lessons, you guys, that can guide us forward. It tells us that wise people anticipate challenges and prepares for them, while others ignore warning signs and struggle unnecessarily. Obstacles don't just appear, you guys, don't just appear to block us. They show us what we need to adjust, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be strengthened or removed from our path. Okay. In the practical application of this, instead of seeing your obstacle as a reason to quit, we can start asking ourselves, like, what is this challenge teaching me about me? Right? How can I use this information or this insight or this obstacle to make better decisions? How can I respond versus react? Right? What can I do? What can I adjust right now to move forward effectively? All right. Uh, for example, obstacle you keep procrastinating on launching that business or cleaning out your closet or calling that person that you need to be calling, right? You keep procrastinating. Um, maybe I'm not meant to do this, right? Maybe it's just today is not the day to do my closet. Maybe that job just isn't for me. Maybe that person is not going to like me, right? Here's the new response to that. This delay is showing me that I need more structure in my life. This delay is showing me that I need to feel more confident in myself. This delay is showing me that that I have some negative thoughts or some contracting emotions around the opportunities that I desire. Maybe I need to go and get a coach and talk about that. Maybe I need to jump on a call with Sheila and see if I can do a clarity call to really remove some of this stuff, right? So let me set up a plan so that I can move forward, right? That is the only thing the opportunity is doing. When you come to a point where there is halted forward movement, there's a reason for that. And let's explore. Let's explore that. But again, when we come from the mindset of good or bad, right or wrong, right, then we tend to then opt out. All right. So when obstacles make us feel stuck, we have to start shifting our mindset from frustration to strategy. This is not a block. It's here to guide me. And who has God put in my life to assist me in that? Okay. If that made sense, put a 4 in the chat for me. If that made sense, put a 4 in the chat if that resonated. Listen, trigger. So our promise verse is, but those who hope in God will renew their strength, and they will soar. They will soar on wings like eagles. We also had this verse, right? And why this matters, that's Isaiah 4:31, because hope fuels perseverance. When we place our focus on the bigger picture, we can handle setbacks without losing motivation, you guys. God doesn't promise a life without obstacles. He promises the strength to rise above them. All right. And how does this tie to motivation? This verse really reminds us that obstacles don't last forever. And when we keep moving forward, we gain the strength instead of losing it. It's easy to feel exhausted and unmotivated when we hit barriers, but our energy is renewed. You guys, our energy is renewed when we shift our focus from frustration to trust, from doubt to anticipation, right? From fear to faith. right? We are ignited in our motivation, right? Because we have created a vision of faith that gives us the anticipation. We have overcame the obstacle that gives us the energy. I always say the energy I'm looking for is on the other side of that task. I don't feel like, folding the clothes right now. But if I want the energy to fold the clothes, I need to fold the clothes because the energy I'm looking for is on the other side of that task. I'm saying I'm so tired, I'm so drained, I really don't feel like doing anything, right? But the truth is, the energy that I'm looking for is on the other side of the task. So let me go fold the clothes. Let me go do that, do that grant. Let me go do the stuff. And then what I find is that now I'm energized. Now I'm motivated. Now I have room and space and capacity to think, to have clarity, right? If that makes sense, put a 5 in the chat, right? Because it's easy to feel exhausted and unmotivated when we hit barriers, but our energy is renewed when we shift our focus from frustration to trust. Right? This verse is about endurance. It's not about just waiting for things to get better, but actively choosing to keep going, even though it's tough. All right. Instead of seeing our obstacles as proof that we should give up, we start seeing them as opportunities to stretch ourselves, to expand ourselves. Obstacles actually build resilience. Every challenge we overcome, we are made stronger. And we know this because we have become resilient individuals in our life because we have overcome hurt, we have overcome pain, we have overcome a lot of things that we don't feel should have happened to us, but we are here today. We're listening to this podcast today. We're in life lessons today. Now, we may have some residue. There may be some residue from those things. And it's our job to continue to wash that stuff away. How? By reprogramming ourselves with new thoughts, with new beliefs, right? One of our principles that we're going to constantly go over in these life lessons is the renewing of our mind, right? As a child, I felt like a child, but as an adult, right, I put my childish ways, childish behaviors away. What does that mean in a practical term? That can be interpreted that the things that have to happen to me as a kid, in the way I behaved as a kid, as an adult, I no longer behave like that. I take on a different level of responsibility. I take care of a different level of accountability. As a child, I could blame my parents. As a child, I could have temper tantrums, right? I could, do some things and I could be forgiven for that. But when this frontal lobe closes at around 25 years old, and now I start to see my life different and make different. I start making my decisions differently, right? Now I'm capturing all of this, and now I need to learn how to respond for life, to stretch my capacity, to go through the things that I need to go through as an adult, right? Because now I'm a part of a collective consciousness. I'm a part of collective community of friends, of family. I may have kids. I may have a spouse. I may want to mate, right? And that means that I need to have a certain level of responsibility. And that means I also need to learn how to communicate, right? And that's a big thing that we're learning in the Project Life program. Communication, assertive communication, conflict management, all of these things that is really required for expansion, right? The practical application of this verse is that instead of seeing obstacles as proof that we should give up, we can really start seeing them as opportunities to stretch ourselves, right? Obstacles build resilience. Every challenge we overcome actually makes us stronger. Challenges don't drain us when we lean into trust. We can stop fighting the resistance and start flowing with the lessons, and we can gain the energy instead of losing it. All right. When obstacles feel overwhelming, just remind ourselves that I'm not meant to be stuck here. And if I keep moving, my strength will return. Okay. And just the practical, the practicality of these verses is, in I want to say this from like a God in the sky way and like a me way, right? I know that a lot of us feel like God's going to remove this obstacle so that I can move forward. And a lot of us is praying for that. Like, God, move the people out of my life that don't need to be there. Create the path for me, God, right? That's a kind of like an old way of thinking about our relationship with God. What I want us to start thinking is in this affirmative. God has already given me the strength and the wisdom to figure this out. I just need to trust in that. I need to trust that God has already given me, listen, the strength and the wisdom to figure this out, to get through this thing, right? And I just need to trust that and act versus God will remove this obstacle so I can move, and a lot of us is praying in this way and we're waiting for God, right? And we're in this holding pattern when the reality of it is God has already given you the strength and wisdom because God has already done what God was going to do, right? And so we're using that sometimes to hold ourselves back. Like, I prayed about it. I'm praying about it. I'm waiting to hear from God. But the reason you ain't heard from him because you already have the thing that you need. If that makes sense, put a 6 in the chat for me. So instead of looking at God to remove these obstacles, we recognize that he has already placed the wisdom and resilience in us to navigate them. Instead of waiting on a miracle to happen, we take action knowing that clarity comes with our movement, not in our hesitation. And instead of seeing struggles as a punishment, we see them as opportunities to become stronger and wiser. If that made sense, or even like as I said that, it made me like, girl, no, you ain't talking about my prayers to God. If it did something to you, put a 6 in the chat because I do feel like, and a lot of my clients who work on this, that we are praying for things, right? But faith without works, what they say is dead, right? So I am going to pray about this thing and I'm going to continue to give God, the gratitude and the thank you and the prayers, right? I'm going to deliver that to him, but I'm also going to recognize that what I'm asking God for, he's already given to me. So reveal it, right? It's going to be revealed how? In my movement, in my action. That's when the clarity is going to come, which is why I can guarantee you that if you look back over your life, and the things that you thought you wasn't able to do, the things that you thought were impossible, you moved a certain way, you made a different decision, and guess what? Life opened up. A situation happened, something different, right? But it was because an action that you took that provided that clarity. All right. So the real life shift is, another real life shift is like, God, why is this happening to me? And we go into this, God, why is this happening to me? Right? And then after we start to really understand God in like a practical self, we can say, God, show me what this is teaching me so that I can move forward. And so again, revealing can happen because now I'm asking the question in the affirmative versus waiting for God to make something happen. I'm changing the way I'm asking, right? My prayer is like, hey, reveal to me so that I can move forward. And then I move forward with trust. All right. Listen, obstacles don't block motivation. They refine it, right? They push us to be resourceful. They test our resilience. They force us to find better strategies. So in Proverbs 27:12, it reminds us that obstacles are lessons, not dead ends. And Isaiah 40:31 reminds us that when we keep going, we don't just survive, we actually soar. So the next time an obstacle makes you feel stuck, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Right? Ask, what is this teaching me? Right? And I want you to think about one obstacle you've been struggling with that might actually be guiding you towards a better version of yourself. Because here's the key. Obstacles aren't here to break you. They're here to build you. You are stronger as a consequence of the challenges that you face. All right. So here is our transformational tool for today. Write down one obstacle that's been draining your motivation, right? And now I want you to rewrite that. And then I want you to rewrite that into an opportunity of growth. What that looks like is my old thought is I keep facing rejection at my job. I keep facing rejection from people. whatever you want to put on that. I keep facing rejection, rejecting myself, right? And then the new thought is that every rejection is teaching me something new about how to position myself for success. Every time I'm rejected, it's teaching me of my resiliency, my ability to keep moving forward, right? You get to choose how you see your challenges, okay? Will they hold you back or will they push you forward? That is your question for today. And so let's get into our affirmation today. You can screenshot this so you can have it for your mantra for the day. Obstacles do not define me, right? I am resilient, resourceful, and ready to grow. Every challenge is an opportunity, and I rise above them with confidence. Listen, obstacles do not define me. I am resilient, I'm resourceful, and I'm ready to grow. And every challenge is an opportunity, and I rise above them with confidence. Okay. And then our daily intention. This is as we set the tone for this Wednesday, this gratitude shift Wednesday. Today I'm choosing to see obstacles as a stepping stone, not a stop sign. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that shift. Today, I choose to see my obstacles or see obstacles as stepping stones and not stop signs. And it's Gratitude Wednesday. And that's one thing that I can hold on to and be grateful for. Okay. Listen, if today's show or session resonated with you, drop a fire in the chat for me, right? Let's celebrate our growth, you guys. Let's just clap it up. We are in the middle of the week. We need some gratitude. We're facing obstacles. This is the middle of the week. So much has happened. It ain't even Friday yet, right? And so we need to know how to transmute this energy, these obstacles, right? So that we can get the motivation that we need, not to just live out the rest of this week, but to what? But to design the life that we desire and deserve, create that life, and then move forward and take the actions that's required to become that individual. So remember, if you can shape it in your mind, you can have it in your life. And if you are ready to turn your obstacles into opportunities, Project L.I.F.E is where we start to make those shifts, right? So that we can grow together. And I have put that link in the caption. And so our challenge today, our bonus challenges, is to take one obstacle you've been struggling with. Again, write it down right now, how it's preparing you for something greater. And then if you can you just share that insight, with me in the comments. Okay. Again, Proverbs reminds us that our obstacles aren't random. They are indicators of what we need to work on. And if we see challenges as warnings and preparations, we will respond. If we see challenges as warning and preparations, we can respond wisely instead of reacting out of frustration, which when we respond wisely, we're actually generating energy to take on the task. But if I'm telling myself and I'm getting frustrated, I am using my energy and my frustration and my annoyance, and that is what's draining me. And then Isaiah 40:31 reminds us that setbacks don't mean we're losing, it means we're growing. So instead of getting discouraged, we renew our strength and trust that we're being equipped for something greater. And when we can trust that when we can trust that we're being equipped with something greater, guess what that does? That gives me the energy because now I'm anticipating what? A better outcome, a stronger me, an experience that I've been dreaming for. And that makes me excited. All right. So the key to staying motivated isn't avoiding the obstacle. It's learning how to move through it with the right mindset, right? Because your greatest challenges can become your greatest breakthroughs, and your greatest breakthroughs really help to motivate you and get you excited. Okay. Thank you for being at Project L.I.F.E. Listen, this is where we turn theory into practice. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow for Thursday's session where we're talking about, listen, creating new patterns. Okay. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. You have an amazing day and continue to turn those obstacles into opportunity. Till later.